Welcome to Forum 360. Thank you for joining us on our global outlook with a local view. I'm Leslie Unger, your host today. On a recent show, I said that anyone that knows me knows that I don't have a musical bone in my body. At the same time, anyone that knows me knows that I fully adhere to the quote, "Life without a dog is like an unsharpened pencil. What's the point?" Perhaps I would add life without dogs, plural. About 45% of Americans apparently agree with me because they are dog owners. When I was about 8 years old, I insisted on taking the family poodle to quote obedience training. I say quote obedience training because I've learned that it's really the owners that are trained more than the dogs. Back then, I happened to go to an obedience school named Papp's. It's my pleasure today to have the current owner of Papp's Dog Training, a certified instructor, a title holder in multiple canine disciplines, and the owner of 2 celebrity dogs. Susan Jenkins has brought her 2 celebrities, Tuxy and Kai. We welcome Susie, Tuxy, and Kai to Forum 360. I'm happy to see you, but I'm like really happy to see the dogs.
Yes.
So don't take that. As a dog owner, you won't take that personally,
no.
Right? Good. So 45% of dog owners train their dogs themselves, statistics tell us, and 55% use outside training. Now, as a communication coach, I'm a big believer in outside training. But tell us, when and why does a dog owner appear at your door? What are they looking for?
Generally, it's control. A lot of it is just to be able to walk their dog and to prevent jumping. Those are usually the 2 big things that we have. And that's one of, as you know, going through the program, that's one of the things that we do a lot is just working to teach them to be able to walk nice next to you without dragging you. Because we all like to walk with our dogs, and it's not fun when we're getting pulled off our feet.
Now, I hesitate to use the word should, but I'm going to use the word should. When should someone come to you? And I guess what I'm asking is, like, oftentimes do they come like later than you wish they would? Like, when should someone think about getting outside help?
Ideally, in fact, we have a couple people now that have gone through the puppy kindergarten class and that are now in beginners and now in the 2nd level where we do the Canine Good Citizen test. And the one lady came up to me, she goes, "I cannot tell you how beneficial it was for me to start with a puppy kindergarten class. Because when we start with like an 8 or 10 or something under 16-week-old puppy, we can alleviate a lot of behaviors that people come to us in beginners classes that with a 8, 9, 10-month-year-old dog already established." So really it works. I just like working with the people to give them the tools. So, but it really does help to be able to get some of the puppy kindergarten stuff done. We do a lot of socialization. We do a lot of things to make vet visits easier. In fact, with the National Association of Dog Obedience Instructors, we're working on redoing our whole certification for puppy kindergarten, and we're going over and reviewing, just what we as obedience instructors think are important. Like being able to handle a puppy going into a vet office without getting absolutely freaked out.
Yes,
and
I've learned that can be like
a terror.
Traumatic for the owner.
Yes. Yeah.
To have to call and say, "Can you let me in a side door?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it starts. I start training my dogs as soon as they walk into the door, as it should be. It's not just housebreaking. It's about manners. They are living in a society with us. And as well as I do, you've seen some of those really obnoxious dogs, and it's really nice to have a dog that's somewhat trained and able to be a good citizen. That's why I'm a great proponent of the American Kennel Club's Canine Good Citizen program, because it shows that you have a good citizen.
Now, I need the accountability of going to class.
Yeah, most of us do.
To make me practice, But what are some benefits that you can point out to people in seeking professional help?
Well, you learn how, and I tell people, you know, you come to a class, at least a beginner's, let's say an 8-week beginner's class, you will be learning how to handle your dog in a room full of other people and dogs. And that'll usually give you the tools to be able to handle them almost anywhere, because nowhere else are you going to have this artificial situation of being in a room with other, well, at least 5 other teams at the minimum, of learning how to handle your dogs. You're going to get mugged here in a minute.
That's okay.
Of how to handle your dogs, because you'll never run into that situation again. So it really does give you some tools in an artificial situation to be able to handle and take and apply other places.
Now, they say that there's a difference between training and behavior. Can you talk about what I think we kind of as dog owners put together, but what is training and what is the behavior?
Training is what I want them to do. Behavior is what they're doing. Behavior, I guess, because I just kind of keep it all, it's all, like you said, it all muddles together.
It does.
You know, because I want to train the behaviors that I want. I want them to be good citizens. I want them to be polite. So I want to extinguish some behaviors like jumping. I want to extinguish that. That's not good for them or for you. And I want to encourage the behavior of sitting politely to get petted. We go to dog shows. They have to be able to walk through a door, walk into a new place without being total spaz.
Now, it seems to me it was more than 20 years ago when I first took my family poodle to class, but it seems like over the last decades that training has changed a lot, that it's a lot more positive motivated. Can you talk about some of the changes in training over the last couple decades?
Well, I can remember going, when Karen Pryor just first came out with like the clicker training, don't shoot the dog. Jack took all of us to see Karen Pryor. At that time, it was all aversion, no food. You just didn't use food to train. And now we know that there's 4 primary motivators in a dog: aversion, which is the old way of training, food, reproduction, and shelter. So we're using primary motivator to train the dog. I'm not a pure positive, I'm a balanced, because I have seen dogs correct one another. And it can be really kind of scary when you see a dog correct. It's not punishment. Correction should never, never be punishment. It should never, never be out of anger. It's feeding them information as to what is expected. You don't punish a ship when you need to correct a ship. You redirect it and get it going. So it depends on the animal, what they need and what the team needs.
So let's be honest, just between you and me, who are you really training?
The people.
You are?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I talked to somebody today. My whole heart is to give people the tools to be able to handle their dog. She's got a 18-month-old large breed dog. I said, I could probably take your dog and handle him just fine, but that's not going to help you. I want to give you the tools to be able to handle your dog.
So speaking of that, do you find that, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't ask you, are some breeds smarter than others, but are some breeds more coachable than
Some
others?
are more biddable. Absolutely. You know, a lot of your sporting breeds, especially your retrievers, are bred to work closely with people, whereas a lot of your herding dogs, your guardian dogs, let's just say like your Kuvas, your Great Pyrenees, they're bred to live out with the livestock.
So they have to be able to make decisions on their own.
They have to make decisions on their own. You know, whereas, you know, the retrievers, they work very closely because they sit in a duck blind or in a John boat or whatever, and they sit there. They have to sit quietly. They can't be spaz in the duck blind or the John boat, or they'll tip it. And then they have to be able to work and go get the duck and bring it back. So, you know, and this is what I tell people, even with your mixed breeds, your hounds and stuff, they're all bred to work different things. And that's why dogs need a job to do. That's where I think a lot of destruction comes, because we've taken them out of the workforce and expect them to be a couch potato.
Yeah. So out of all the breeds, and you've been in training and a title holder for a long time, you could pick any breed, you're familiar with breeds. Why do you pick Labs?
I love their personality. I love their personality. They're goofballs. Right. You know, I co-owned a Border Collie. I really loved him. But and they're really smart and they like to work, but I like the personality of the Labrador. And we've had him for over 40 years now. And
you like them. So when I have often had 2 dogs, and one time I got a puppy, and the older dog I had was on medication. So pretty early, I had to teach the puppy to leave it if something dropped, a pill, or they don't always
Absolutely.
take the pill. So besides walking and not jumping and sitting, what are things around the house that a family dog can learn to do or not do?
Well, as you know, we teach a leave a command, which has come in handy, because going through breast cancer treatment, I had neuropathy in my hands. And I think I use this as an example, and I use it in class when I teach. I'm holding a bowl of meat, and all of a sudden, it was on the floor. And there was meat, and there was glass, and 2 Labrador retrievers. So I used that leave a command. I had them lay down. I had them stay, because I couldn't have them going and eating that meat in the glass. I had to. So, the leave a command we teach, the sit stay, the down stay, impulse control, deferment of pleasure exercise. If I didn't have a down stay, I would have been in an emergency room with 2 Labradors, because they would have scarfed up all that meat and glass.
Now, were there other ways, when you mentioned your cancer journey, were there other ways, or are there other ways that a dog can learn to help someone that might be convalescing or might have an injury? Are there some things that a dog can learn?
Oh, absolutely. He did amazing when I was going through, because at that time he was trained. He could pick up things I dropped on the floor. If I was having a day of a lot of the dizziness and the vertigo, and I dropped something, he could pick it up and give it to me.
So that would sound like what?
The take and give. We teach that in the second 8-week class of beginning to take and hold. And I use that as an example. I drop my car keys. Oh my gosh, my hands are full. I need my dog to pick up my car keys.
And so you say to them, take.
Take it.
And they take it, and then you ask them to give it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So there's so many things, competition, people are like, well, I don't want to compete, but almost every aspect of competition is something I use in almost everyday life. I have to send my dog to go get something, get it, and they go get it. We're still working with him. We had yogurt. We love yogurt and blueberries. So, somebody got to clean out the yogurt container. Mm-hmm. So my husband's like, take it. And then I called him. He brought it to me so I can throw it away. And
it's also giving them a job.
It's giving them a job. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd like to take a minute to reintroduce our guests today. We are talking first to our canine guests, Kai and Tuxy, our celebrity dogs, and we are talking to Susan Jenkins from Papp's dog training, about how to live easily and well with your 4-legged friends. So let's meet the real stars of today.
Yes.
Okay, let's just be honest about it.
Come
Let's
here.
meet the real stars, Tuxy and Kai. Now, I named this show Celebrity Dogs because one of them has been on the cover of 8 American Greeting holiday cards. Most dog owners, I think their dog should be on the cover of something, right? A bag of food, a card, something. How did this happen, and why your dog?
Well, my friend Lois has Shar-Pei, and she had done a couple of shoots with her one Shar-Pei. And then she got a call one day. They're like, well, we want to do a best friend card. And Lois is like, well, I have a Shar-Pei whose best friend is a yellow lab. So they're like, okay. So they booked us. And it is for roommates, best friends. And photographer walked in and goes, I hate shooting dogs. And Lois and I are like, but this photo shoot went so smooth. And we're like, this is why a trained dog, he wanted them, so they're on a couch. He's like, so I want to put the Cheetos on the couch. Are they going to leave it? And we're like, yeah, we'll tell them to leave it. Really?
Really?
So they left it. He's like, he said, I want the yellow lab's paw to be on the arm of the, okay, Kai touch, stay. He's like, oh my gosh. And after that, it was like, they loved doing photo shoots with him because it was so fast.
So you
the training.
Did a Happy Nurses Day?
So he's on a Nurses Day card, a graduation card, the best friend card, the Father's Day card. There's another birthday card that a friend of ours ran into. And my favorite is the Christmas card.
Christmas card.
The Christmas card. That was just beautiful. And that was something, that was probably the hardest photo shoot because he's sitting outside in very cold weather on the front porch.
So it's not like fake snow.
Oh, no, that was real snow. It was real snow.
Oh,
and he has like his little rear end was getting a little cold. Oh, Bubby.
Now, do you think he knows that like he was special, like that he was the one that was?
They loved him because of his smile. It's like he got there and he was like a professional. It was just amazing. They were just amazed with him.
I think they know.
They do. They're
the ones that are
intelligent.
it's kind of like a show horse. The ones that are built to be the show horse know.
They do.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one dog that loves to have his picture taken. I swear he knows the difference when you pick up the phone to take his picture.
Yes.
And he will pose. The other one hated having her picture taken. How she knew, I don't know, but I think they know.
They do. They're amazingly intelligent animals. We now know from research that they have the vocabulary and they're able to understand about the same intelligent level of a toddler. So now we know they really are intelligent animals, and they can develop a vocabulary. And you work with them, they really do develop personality, as you know.
Yes. What would you say a dog needs to know to be a model? Or is it just in them?
It was just in him. I didn't do anything other than train.
So talking about training, so both of these dogs have been competitive.
Yes.
So tell us in what areas each one competed.
Well, Kai, the yellow, he is a conformation grand champion, AKC, UKC, in both venues, grand champion. In AKC, he is a rally champion. He made Labrador breed history being the first grand champion, rally champion Labrador retriever.
And let me just say, I have a whole respect for rally. Not only does the dog have to be smart, but the owner has to be smart. You have to know, you have to understand, you have to really, I have a whole respect for that. But can you, in a sentence or two, tell our viewers and our listeners what rally is?
Rally is what I kind of describe like a cross between obedience and agility. Mm-hmm. You have signs, you have like a 360 left, a 360 right, you have different about turns, and you have a whole course of all these signs, 10 to 15, and you go through and you do the course. And timed. Hopefully this weekend we will finish one of our big rally titles, his Rally Advanced Excellent.
So he's rally.
Yeah, he's doing rally and obedience. So we've got an obedience and rally trial this weekend. And
so what are some things in obedience that he will need to do correctly?
With the level we're at, he's got to do the off-lead heeling. So we have a whole pattern of off-lead heeling. He's a drop on recall where I call him, I have to drop him, and then he has to come in. He has to retrieve his dumbbell, and then he has to retrieve his dumbbell over a jump, and then he has to do a broad jump. So, which is supposed to simulate a dog going over a stream, but after 40 years of Labradors, I've never had a Labrador want to jump over a stream.
And every time I think like I'm getting somewhere, I remind myself that I do it with food. You can't do it with food when you're competing. Correct.
I'm at a show. I have no food.
And that is so hard.
That's why we talk about randomizing.
That is so very, very hard. So one thing, I've learned is that supposedly here now, a dog knows the difference if I start on my right foot or left foot, if I use my right hand or left hand to give them a command. So talk about some of these little things that these dogs pick up on.
Oh, body cues, because, in the wild, whether they're hunting or working in the pack, they function on body cues. They're not really verbal beings. It's all body cues and body English. So they watch, like when they're hunting, they're watching the body cues of the prey. They communicate a lot through body cues. That's why we really talk about, body cues and body posture. And
so they live more like I live as a coach. I live by verbal, vocal, visual. They live more by the visual.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. Huh. That's why we try to tell people, don't talk so much to your dog.
So I know from showing horses that a bond you have with an animal you compete with is very different than the bond that you have with just your family animal. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, because you spend so many hours, like I train Tuxy almost every day. So we're working together every single day, as well as showing and traveling together. So it really does, and that's what I tell people. That's what I love about obedience in rally. Really, and even agility, not as much of agility because they're more working on their own, but some of these that you're really working on the partnership. And I've done agility, there is a degree of it, but I don't feel it, I never felt it like I did with obedience, and because it's just so much more intimate together. And it was fun. My previous black and I did agility. He loved it. He was crazy. But he was very much his own man. And there are sports too, like a lot of the field work, with especially your pointing breeds, they're out there working more independently. One thing I like about the obedience and rally is because we're working very closely together.
Now, you've mentioned the titles. We mentioned the titles and the training and the championships. Pull the curtain back a little bit for us for a, quote, dog show. We probably watched it on, Westminster or something, but tell us something about a dog show that we wouldn't know.
They're fun. There's just, you can go and watch. I really encourage people to go and watch. It's just a lot of fun. It's just you and your dog. I had a real compliment from the judge at Memorial Day weekend. We had some real bobbles, really bad bobbles in the ring. And she said, she came up to me, she goes, I really want to compliment you on your handling. She said, you didn't get mad at him at all when he screwed up. You made it so fun for him and such a game. And that's important. It's got to be a game. It is stressful. But it's like, when I thought I was going to show horses, it is. It's because you don't know. You're working with something that's very independent thinking, and you never know one moment to the next what they're going to decide to do. They're not computers, so it's not like I can just put this in and have this performance. That's why teamwork is so important. And you find that most of us that show in obedience and rally and agility, we just have fun with our dogs because we like the teamwork.
Well, which brings up a quote I came upon that I'm going to ask you to talk about. Be the most interesting human your dog has ever met.
Yeah. I want to be the best thing in my dog's life.
And if you could answer it quickly, what is something that an owner can do to be the best human, from a dog's perspective, to be the best?
Fun.
To be fun.
Be fun. Be somebody that your dog wants to hang with, because if you're constantly getting on them, why would they want to be with you?
In the remaining minutes, I'm going to ask you for 2 or 3 word answers. What is one thing that owners get wrong in training themselves or their dog?
Talk too much. Repeat commands. One command and work towards compliance.
What is one thing owners get right?
Loving their dogs.
What is something that would surprise us about training, for those of you that are training consecutively and training for a goal? What is one thing that would surprise us?
Surprise who?
Us that are not doing that.
How much fun we have with our dogs.
Okay. Is there one title or award that you are most proud of?
Pretty proud of Kai making Labrador breed history. I'll never have another dog make Labrador breed history.
And Labrador breed history because he
is that AKC, the American Kennel Club Grand Champion, Rally Champion. He was the first one.
Do dogs care what you listen to in the car? Do they pay attention to music? Does music change them at all? Do they pay attention to music at all?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm sure they do.
Now, do they, we hear sometimes that, dogs don't understand the concept of time. Like, they don't know whether you were gone for 8 hours,
Correct.
8 days, or 8 minutes.
They live in the moment.
Is that true?
They live in the moment.
Yeah?
They live in the moment.
So
that's why you can walk out the door and come right back in, and it's like you were gone for days.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool. They're always so happy to see you.
So, tell me what this means in the training world. Timing, the difference between making it better or making it worse.
Timing of marking the behavior, really important.
Because?
If you are poorly timing, you might be rewarding a behavior you actually want to extinguish rather than rewarding the behavior you want to continue on, or vice versa.
So are we mostly too slow in rewarding or too fast?
I think it depends on the situation and the person. I know some that are really fast and some that are just like, praise your dog. Let them know they did something right.
Which leads me to my last question. The answer to any question, they say, depends on the dog.
Depends on the people.
If you go to the website of our guest today, you will learn that a canine title earned is nothing less than love and respect given and received and permanently recorded. But to most of us, our dogs in general are love and respect given and received. Through our guests today, Susan Jenkins, Kai, and Tuxy, we learned that those 4 paws that live with us can learn to pick up things for an owner on their cancer journey, can bring smiles to people's face, whether they're on the cover of a greeting card, and can provide a sense of accomplishment for their owners. For those of us not competing, and in the 45% of Americans who own a dog, we can still build a bond, make life easier for humans and dogs, and enrich the lives of families. I'm Leslie Unger. Thank you for joining us on Forum 360 for our global outlook with a local view.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.